Hi, my name is Trevor Klee, and this is the GRE sentence equivalence process. So in a previous video, I covered the text completion process, and this is sentence equivalence process. It's not too different because both of them involve vocab, but there are a few changes here. So before I start, some people are surprised that there's a process at all. They think sentence equivalent is just a matter of knowing the words. Yeah, I'd say sentence equivalence like 70% actually knowing the vocabulary and like 30% process. So this video is on that last 30% process. So let's talk about our process here. It's pretty straightforward. You can see there's only two steps. First is we're going to analyze the blank or blanks for keywords. So stuff that's going to tell us what goes in that blank. So that's stuff like unless or but, and also, specific synonyms or antonyms. So that's going to help tell us what goes in the word, what goes in the blank. And then once we find out, the key words, what will tell us what goes in the blank, we look to find two words that mean the same thing. So there's a reason why I do step one, then step two. There's always going to be trap synonyms. So, there's always going to be two words that mean the same thing in your answer choices that will not be correct. So I always try to make sure that we're actually putting in the right synonyms there. I also tell my students, don't guess on this. So, often people will, sort of look at the blanks and then they'll guess on words. And then they'll get tripped up when the, words in the blank don't, or the words that the GRE gives you aren't the same words that they expect should go in the blank. So I think it actually makes sense not to guess. Instead, just have an idea of what sort of phrases like dictate what goes in there, and then, look at what they give you rather than, trying to guess beforehand and being surprised. So, other than that, I think this is pretty straightforward. So I have some examples below of this process in action. These examples are taken from my book, which is the a guide to text completion and sentence equivalence. You can find it on my Gumroad page, which is gumroad.com/Trevor Klee. It has 100 plus questions, 472 words you need to know, and everything is fully explained. I've taken a lot of effort to make some really excellent explanations, so I hope you appreciate them. So yeah, check that out if you're interested. All right, cool. Let's get into these questions. So the suspect's friend blank his alibi, saying that they'd been with each other the entire time. So here we have a blank. So let's see what our keywords here. Well, the suspect's friend is doing something to his alibi. He says they had been with each other the entire time. So if he's like, saying they had been with each other the entire time, and an alibi, you should know this, but an alibi is like an excuse, something like that, or in this case, where you were in the case of a crime. So he's probably somehow like supporting this alibi, right? So let's go through these. So we're looking for two words that mean the same thing. So we get coordinated and dictated, and then we've got corroborated and upheld. So absconded with and detailed, neither one of those are going to be fit in here. So coordinated and dictated aren't exact synonyms, but you might be tempted by them. But we're not really getting a clue here that they're actually dictating the alibi, that the suspect's friend is dictating his alibi, telling him what to say. It's more like he's supporting it. So this is not correct. So what we're left with is corroborated and upheld, which work. Both of those mean like he's somehow supporting it or agreeing with what the suspect said already. All right, cool. Let's go on to our next one. The emperor's blank that no man should wear purple was seen as pretty normal for him. So we know this is keywords. We know this is an emperor, and we know he's saying something like no man should wear purple. So, emperors usually, they're emperors. They tell people what to do. And it's normal for an emperor to tell other people not to wear purple if they want to be the only ones wearing purple. So here we're looking for two words that mean the same thing again. And we've got dictum and proclamation. And we've got annoyance and pique. Both mean the same thing. Grandiloquence, which means like sort of, it's pretty close to eloquence, doesn't really work here, and flounder definitely doesn't work. So are we saying, so in terms of picking between these, annoyance and pique are actually pretty perfect synonyms, but they don't really make sense here. So, an emperor, we'd have to invent a pretty elaborate story why an emperor would be annoyed that no man's wearing purple. And if you're reaching that far, you're probably reaching too far. So a dictum or a proclamation, both of which mean he's saying this or he's ordering it, make a lot more sense here. So yeah, dictum and proclamation. And then last up, we've got our next example, which is yet another sentence equivalence. It says the biologist blanked that the creature was nitrogen-based, giving a basis for further equations. So the biologist is doing something about the creature and it's giving a basis for further equations. So he's probably forming something that's like sort of like the basis, the hypothesis, that sort of thing. So here we've got hypothesized and posited mean pretty close to the same thing. Questioned and doubted mean the same thing. Posed, you can like pose a question, and you might be tempted here, but we really can't pose something directly, right? We can't pose that the creature was nitrogen-based. We need to pose a question. So this one is tempting, but it doesn't work, and caned definitely doesn't work. Caned is literally hitting people with a cane. So here we've got our blank. And so question and doubted are actually pretty close to each other. But our issue is if the biologist questioned or doubted that the creature was nitrogen-based, why would that give a basis for further equations? It wouldn't, right? There's no basis if you doubt that it's nitrogen-based. That sort of ends the equations. So our keywords don't make sense here. Hypothesized and posited make sense because both of those mean that's like his assumption, right? That he's assuming or hypothesizing. He's guessing that it's nitrogen-based. And if you guess that it's nitrogen-based, then you can make further equations. So that makes a lot more sense than doubting. All right, cool. So that's a couple examples showing our sentence equivalence process in action. We're looking at the blank, and then we're identifying the keywords or phrases. Now, if you'd like this, please check out my guide on text equivalence and or text completion and sentence equivalence, gumroad.com/Trevor Klee. Again, it has like 100 plus questions. Has 472 words, and I include the whole word list in a spreadsheet, in a CSV. Please check it out. And then if you like this video and you want to see no more, please like and subscribe. All right. And that's pretty much it. Thanks for watching.